I've got a collection of all my balls ups and stuff like that. There was one particular one on E4 where I can't remember what I was meant to be saying, but I just ended up going blah, blah. And I think I just kind of went, you know what? The whole script is meant to be 10 seconds long. I've got no time at all to get out of it, so I'm just going to go and have it done with it. Lean into it and love it.
Hello, and greetings and welcome to Voice Acting Unplugged, the podcast where we try and find the ins and outs of the voiceover world and see what's coming next. And with me, I have the inimitable Margaret Ashley.
He had to come up with that word again. Inimitable.
Have I used that before?
Hello, everyone.
I'm a big unoriginal.
Might have been in last season. It might have been in last season. I don't know. But of course, I am inimitable and underrated, as you said last time. What else can it come on? Never mind. Yeah, and we've got, of course, another brilliant guest. As you know, in the podcast, we go into all the different areas of the voice acting industry and find out all we can about them. So today we've got a really interesting one, a one that's relatively unknown. And actually, it was a long time ago when I was at school. I asked, I had a careers inspector who said, "What do you want to do?" And I said, "I want to be an actress." And I got that look. I said, "And if I can't be an actress, I want to be a continuity announcer." And she went,
A what?
"Well, I don't know what that is, but we've got this job as assistant manager in Bookless's, the greengrocers." And I went,
That'll do.
Anyway, so that's probably given the game away. We've got a continuity announcer today. And he's not just a continuity announcer. He's a voice you will know instantly. He's a voice actor, a writer, a ex-presenter on radio. Oh, he's all sorts of things. Why don't I let him introduce himself? He is the one and only, I can't use that word, inimitable, the one and only Northerner, Pete Nottage.
I really like that intro. Can I just be imitable instead of inimitable?
Yes. Is there such a thing?
Yeah, why not?
Why not?
Absolutely. Yeah, okay, there is now.
So, Pete, tell us about yourself.
Yes, so I am Pete. I am a continuity announcer. I've been a continuity announcer for Channel 4 for just shy of 20 years.
Wow.
Prior to that, yes, I was a radio presenter, and just keeping on.
Absolutely. Just on my theme of when I was a child and wanting to be a continuity announcer. The continuity announcer in those olden days was generally an ex-model or somebody that looked very glamorous and dressed up beautifully, and then when she announced during the day, and then in the evening they changed into evening wear and announced. Don't do that anymore, do you?
Well, I mean, you could do, but there isn't any cameras in the booth, so it is quite a pointless endeavour. But no, you're right. Throughout history, when TV continuity became a thing and they put cameras in the booths, then yes, they definitely did, depending on the type of day, type of programmes, and the formality of the programmes themselves. They would dress accordingly. But these days you can just rock up like yay in a shirt and t-shirt, and jobs are good.
Absolutely. And in the last 20 years, how much have things changed? Is the presentation style different?
Yes, because the role of continuity, you are, what's the best way of putting this? You are reflecting the output of a particular channel or brand or anything like that, and people's viewing habits, people's tastes, they have changed over time. There used to be more of a, what's the nicest way of putting it? It's like there was a series of shows which got called poverty porn shows, where it was a little bit sneery almost, and the continuity kind of reflected that output. These days, those kind of programs wouldn't even be commissioned, so the continuity has evolved with it. The role of a continuity announcer has still stayed broadly the same. You're using natural language, words that you'd talk to yourself and your mates in the pub to describe shows, but the context of those announcements will have evolved, if that makes sense.
Yeah, sure. And is this...
Can you That's us again. We both come with a question instantly wanting to ask you. Can you tell us just what exactly a continuity announcer is and what they do and how hard it is?
Absolutely. Right. So, how wanky do you want this?
As wanky as you like.
Because you could say that continuity announcer is like a conduit joining the televisual ecosystem and the landscape of the person that says the news is next. In a nutshell, that's what it is. You are introducing the next program and giving contextual content warnings or things like that around the program. If a program contains strong language or scenes of drug use, or if there are any scenes that you might find shocking, we are there to inform you prior to the program starting to get yourself adequately prepared. On top of that, we are there to direct the viewers to any other parts of a TV's ecosystem, so websites or if there's, a special tickets to a giveaway tickets to an event or something like that, we are there to inform about that in as natural a way as possible. And also, depending on whether or not continuity is live, we are there to react to real world events and death or any kind of major news event. We are there live to react to it and to speak for the nation without wanting to sound a little bit of my own arse.
Sure. Has that happened on your shift at any point?
I mean, we had this thing called the pandemic a few years ago, and that
Yeah.
was an interesting one. All of a sudden, the whole tone changed. There's a great announcer on BBC One called Duncan Newmarsh, and he, right at the start of the pandemic, he came up with a line that said, doesn't matter. I'm paraphrasing. It doesn't matter where you are, from Newcastle to Norwich or whatever. We are all together. And it didn't, and that was it. You were all kind of individual. Everyone was individual and sheltering from everyone else. But it's this collective thing of all watching TV, which it's a very powerful thing.
Yeah.
There was another point I was going to say.
And you
but I
have
can't
to
remember.
write your own scripts.
Yes, you have to write your own scripts. That is the key to good continuity, because anyone can. Not anyone, but we get given a script and we can read it, whatever. But there is something innately human to reading your own words. You can't sound more natural than your own voice, your own words in your own voice. We have had, real top-notch voiceover artists come in to try their hand at continuity, and quite a lot of them can't do it right because they're really good at reading, but their writing skills aren't necessarily there. And writing is 80-90% of the work. The stuff that goes out, the stuff that you say, is the result of a massive process of writing and rewriting and editing down and sending scripts to commissioning editors and lawyers and planning teams, and we have
So
massive meetings.
There's no busking it then.
No. But the key is to make it sound like it is busked.
Yeah.
So I try and sound like as a polished amateur as possible, almost, if that makes sense.
Okay, yeah. So how does someone get into continuity announcements in the first place? What was your background?
Well, right. This is where I'm not entirely sure, because it happened more than 2 days ago. That's as much as my brain can think. I'll
Happened 2 decades ago.
I'll try and cobble together some form of narrative from what I can vaguely remember in that fuzzy part of my head.
If it starts in Narnia, it's fine. Just go for it.
Once upon a time, I was down the pit. I come from a radio background. When I finished school, finished sixth form, I didn't know what to do. There was a local radio station up in Macclesfield called Silk FM.
I know Silk well.
Yeah,
yes.
it was a phenomenal place to what's the cut your teeth? Is that the phrase? Why
Yes.
not? And yeah, I did the whole thing of persistently knocking on doors and annoying people. And one day they called me in and said, "Yes, you can tech up the Pepsi chart, as it was then." which involved pushing a button once every 3 hours, I seem to remember, and going, oh, this is exciting. And yeah, building up from there, I was a creative producer there for a while, building up to presenting, just doing whatever I could just to earn a little bit of cash. Back in those days, there was, well, as is always the case with radio, there's no money at all. So at one point I was getting paid a sandwich and a pack of cigarettes a day.
Wow.
And you know what? I was happy with that.
I know somebody who went to work who got the breakfast show, I believe, on that station.
Oh, yes.
They didn't earn very much. They took a
No.
pay cut from where they were to join. It was skin of the teeth radio,
Really,
wasn't it? Yeah.
really, really is. But there was something about that. When you had an event, what would we have? We had something called, it was called Bring a Pound to Work Day. And so the idea was just everyone brings a quid in, they give it to the radio station, and collectively the entire borough do, I think it was for Macmillan Cancer or something like that, and there was thousands of pounds raised. And because it was a reactive thing, it was flowing, it was evolving naturally throughout the day. And at the end of the day, I remember cutting down a package, going, this is what I have achieved today. And you think, oh, that's a good 9 to 5.
Yeah.
And so yeah, the skills you learn in radio that can apply to voiceovers as well, the creative stuff especially, you can't be denied. It was a very special place. I was only in it for 3 years, I think, but then, as is always the case, the money started to become an issue, and someone said, I think someone started pushing me into voiceovers, and I looked into it, and someone said, yeah, you can earn, X amount in just 1 hour. And I thought, oh, that sounds interesting, before realising the truth.
Yeah. So that would have been Alpha Sound, maybe, you went to in those days? That was down in Altrincham.
You know what? I honestly can't remember now. There are so many, I can't remember. But then, someone on one of the radio forums that started to crop up around that time, someone sent me what would be a DM now, and said, look, Channel 4 are after some continuity announcers, give it a go. Wow. And I kind of went, all right, I'll try that. Got down on the train. I remember this. It was the day, the interview was on the day of the London bombings, which was... wow. So we were on I was on the train on the way down. I had a phone call saying, yeah, don't come down. I think the train stopped at Birmingham or something like that and went back anyway. Yeah. So I went down the following day. I think that must have been the safest day in London's history. Yeah. And yeah, it was just such a weird, the whole day was weird, going to this massive building and meeting all these people, and with the context of 7/7 just there as well. It was overwhelming. It really was. Yeah. And there were 2 people in Channel 4 on that day that came from my little village near Macclesfield, who said, hey Pete, how's your mum? And that blew my mind as well. So
no way.
It's quite it's a very, very small world.
Yeah. Well, voiceover certainly is,
as we keep discovering.
Yeah. So yeah, that's a very potted history of how it all began. And yeah, walking down the entrance, I don't know if this is important or not, but the entrance to Channel 4, if you look at it from above, is a massive cock and balls. And I just remember, and that's the one thing that I remember from that first interview day, is I came up on it's just a massive load of glass walkways and everything like that, and I remember going on the 3rd floor and looking down, just going, that looks like a massive cock and balls, and that is the resounding memory.
Well, I suppose it made the interview a little easier.
It really did.
Fabulous.
So do you still go into Channel 4 building, or do you work from home?
Well, this is I mean, since the pandemic, everything is changed somewhat. We try and go into the Channel 4 building as much as possible, primarily because, it's nice to see people, and you can do lots of, as we do lots of meetings on Teams and things like that, but there's no substitute for the real thing of being there in the flesh. So I try going in there as much as possible. When we broadcast live, that used to be from the Channel 4 building. It's not anymore. It's from a building in Shepherd's Bush. So the very nature of the work means that I get up in the morning not knowing A, where I'm meant to be, and B, when I'm meant to be there. If that makes sense.
That's kind of our world.
That's pretty much
isn't
it, to be fair.
So is most of the work still done in Channel 4, or do you now do a lot of it from home?
The
Since
bulk
COVID?
of it is now, if I'm being honest, done from home, because since the pandemic there have been fewer live shifts from Channel 4. The bulk of the kind of the stuff that people watch, the peak stuff, the stuff from 6 p.m. onwards, that has always been live, and I think for the foreseeable it will be live. Before then, not as many people are watching, so there has been more pre-recorded. I don't know if I should be saying this or not, but hey, in for a penny, we're here now. It's pre-recorded, so and I'm very lucky that I am afforded the opportunity to record from home, because my home life's just a nightmare, so any opportunity to stay around.
So what happens if there is an emergency, if a programme breaks down halfway through or there's some odd thing happening? Do you have to sit there through your shift and watch
On a
everything?
live shift, yes, you have to be prepared that anything can happen, and you would have prepared for that particular moment depending on what's happened. Normally what would happen is what we call a breakdown. The programme would just fall off air, there'd just be like a black hole on the screen, maybe a channel logo, and you would be expected to instantly come in, say, I'm sorry for the technical problems, we're looking into it, blah, 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 and just keep this kind of calming sort of a presence while the rest of the transmission suite is pretty much on fire, with people running around going, I don't know what's happening, and shouting things like red barrels, which is a very technical term. So that is what we do. We are always there to react and to preempt what's going on. The other thing is we're always there writing ahead for the following day's shift. So there's no sitting back on our laurels and having a cup of tea and just watching the telly. It'd be nice if it was, but no, it's constant push, chug from pretty much midday till midnight, nearest damn it.
Yeah. So I probably shouldn't ask this, but have there been any on-air errors that you can remember or regret?
No. You are not a proper announcer until you have successfully navigated your own balls up. If that makes sense.
Yes, it
because it's a natural thing. You're speaking, you're going to make a mistake at some point. You're going to fall over your words. Everyone, especially with voiceovers, you can edit it out and stuff like that. But when you're in a live environment, it's being able to steady the ship and getting out of it with some dignity intact. That hasn't happened to me on all occasions. Sometimes I've just, what did I do? I think I was on E4. And the other thing is, sorry, just to come back into this, people can be very unforgiving. If there is a certain mistake that you do, you can be guaranteed that'll be on social media within 30 minutes.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
So it's up to you to kind of try and beat that particular bandwagon by uploading it yourself. I've got a collection of all my balls ups and stuff like that. There was one particular one on E4 where I can't remember what I was meant to be saying, but I just ended up going blah, blah. And I think I just kind of went, you know what? The whole script is meant to be 10 seconds long. I've got no time at all to get out of it, so I'm just going to go and have done with it. Lean into it and love it.
That's the sort of thing that people remember, and because you can now rewind TV, as you say, they're soon going to get that up on Instagram. Or
and also it kind of subtly reaffirms the fact that it is live, and it's a human thing to do, and it makes people a little bit more familiar and not sympathetic. Sympathetic's the wrong word, but they empathetic. Thank you very much. Yeah. They, it's not stuffy and unreachable. It's just a guy made a mistake in a booth, and we can all relate to that.
Perhaps not so easy on the BBC. I don't know.
I think the BBC are now shifting. It's because I don't do continuity for the BBC. I only can judge from my kind of distant position, but I think the BBC are trying to do this kind of thing now. I think, for instance, I'm trying to think of the best way of putting this. Accents are the particular thing I've noticed with especially with the BBC.
Yeah.
When Channel 4 started experimenting with accents in probably the late 90s, early 2000s, you'd get an announcer who was really good at their job and they'd have a Geordie accent or an Irish accent or whatever. The BBC around that time, not just the BBC, other channels around that time, let's just say that, decided to go, right, we would like to have a Belfast accent or whatever, without necessarily knowing if they were good at doing the job first, if that makes sense. So it was almost putting the cart before the horse. The thing with continuity, it's got to be believable, otherwise it just falls over on its face. The person who does the job has to have the key skills regardless of whatever accent or anything that they have. It's just a little flourish at the end to say, yes, they're a Midlands voice or whatever.
Yeah. I mean, Ali Bowman at the BBC, Northerner, fabulous accent. It's sort of an RP-ish Northern accent.
Yes.
You see what I mean? It's somewhere in between.
There is a limit to how Northern you're allowed to go in some respects.
Yeah, I can well believe that.
There have been, I can't think of an example, but there have been times where I think Channel 5 tried with very specifically regional voices. Like there was someone from a specific area in South Wales that it really didn't go down well with the public, I seem to remember, because it was quite a thick accent, I think.
Yeah.
And it was being representative and everything, but I think it's a delicate tightrope to walk, if that makes sense.
There seemed to be, I think it was Channel 4, kind of experimented with continuity announcers who had clearly just been drawn from the public. How successful was that experiment?
I think, we are always trying to broaden the hang on a minute, let me think of this. Yeah, we're always trying to maximise the sound, the on-air sound, because we are very aware that there are only, I think there's 12 or 13 announcers for Channel 4, and they come from all over the place, but there is always room for more. That didn't make much sense, did it?
No, perfect sense.
Okay.
Perfect sense.
So we are constantly striving to try and find new voices, and because we're not necessarily looking for people who are trained voiceovers, because they come with a certain, way of that we work. If you can get someone who is completely new to the thing, they can be moulded into the continuity form a lot easier than having to unlearn certain skills and learn new ones, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So
that brings me into what I was going to ask when I get a chance to say something. Is training.
Yes.
How do you go about training? Do you train people? What was your training like? What do you have to do?
Well, 20 years ago, there was a decent training budget in telly. So I had a good old, I think it was a month I had of training, of shadowing certain shifts, being allowed to write certain, we call them junctions. Anything between the end of one program, the start of another program is called a junction. So I get a chance to write some of those junctions and then hone it down, trim all the fat, record it, maybe even do it live. I had a whole month to do that. These days, there's not that much of a budget, and so you have to hit the ground running pretty much within, I'd say, a week or two. Yes. So you need to have confidence in what you're doing, but also be able to have that willingness to be shaped, if that makes sense, and just to dive in both feet.
Was it a difficult transition for you coming from radio, or did you find it fairly straightforward?
I did find it fairly straightforward, because the thing for me, I knew how to change gears, by which I mean the varied output of a channel can can go from one extreme to another. You can have,
especially Channel 4.
Channel 4 can especially. So having that kind of ability already to kind of go, right, we're talking about a serious thing now, and here's a light-hearted thing. What are the nice bridging phrases we can come up with that soften that horrible gear shift between the two of them? It is possible. It's hard, but it is possible.
Yeah.
And so having that kind of muscle memory almost really does help.
Death, murder and destruction.
Yeah.
Here's the Lighthouse Family.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Who remembers the Lighthouse Family?
Everybody in radio does, that's for sure. So how difficult is it to get into being? You say that the station's constantly looking for new voices. What advice would you give somebody who would like to give that a go?
Don't. It's my job.
Fair enough. Yeah, that's the honest answer, isn't it?
No, I remember you. A friend of mine was up for an interview, and I remember asking you what advice should. And he said, "You're just sitting down talking to your mum with a cup of tea."
That is exactly it. You're using your own words to describe a program. That's the long and short of it. Everything else will come with practice and experience. But if you can communicate one-on-one, tell me what this program is about and why I should watch it. That's it.
Yeah. You've also done a lot of voiceover work away from the continuity thing.
Yes.
You were the voice of BBC Six Music for 10 years.
I was indeed, yes.
Is that something that you've worked hard at keeping in with, or have things just come your way? Do you still consider yourself first and foremost a voiceover or a continuity artist?
That's a very good question, actually. I think these days, at present, I find myself more as a continuity announcer first and foremost, because if I'm being honest, that's where the bulk of my work comes in. The whole, obviously, I'm still keeping my arm in, my eye in, my insert word in, ear in, yeah, with
tongue,
the voiceover world as well. It's such an interesting world to be to watch at the minute, and also have a kind of peripheral toe in the water. The whole AI thing, I don't even know where to begin with that.
Yeah.
And I mean, if I'm being perfectly honest, I don't believe that continuity will have the same effect that it has had in 5-10 years time, because the shift to digital viewing, as in streaming, and away from traditional linear TV, will continue to ramp up. But yes, the whole AI thing is a different kettle of fish entirely, isn't it?
But I mean, I know you said to tell people who are interested in doing it, don't, because it's your job. But if somebody's absolutely desperate, really wants to do it,
or a different
where
channel,
should they start? Should they try and get training outside? Should they get coaching, or should they just apply for jobs and see what happens?
First of all, it's exactly the same as any other kind of voiceover thing. Record yourself trying it, listen back and see how it differs, see where your USP is, and if it's got something, you'll know if it's got something, and if so, then yes, start sending stuff into the channels. Try and find out who the head of continuity or the head of branding, or every channel has their own people, team name, whatever, department, that's the word. So that's the trick, is to find the right person to send it to. But when you have sent it and there has been a yay or a nay, leave it. Don't nag them, because at the end of the day, continuity teams are quite small, and so if you make a nuisance of yourself, that's going to spread quite quickly, if that makes sense.
Yeah, total sense. Yeah, it's a tricky one, isn't it, really? In the voiceover world, there seem to be 8 million people offering training. I take it that in continuity there aren't any outside of the stations.
No, I don't think so, and I think that's because each channel is slightly different in what it expects from people. So it's very difficult to have a kind of one shoe fits all approach. I'm sure there are people that have trained announcers in the past. There's a former announcer for Channel 4 called Gary Terza, who is one of the nicest men you can ever meet. He used to do InVision stuff for Central TV back in the day, in the early 90s, and he used to do children's ITV as well. And he has been doing voiceover training since before it was fashionable. I think part of his thing was training continuity. But yeah, as I say, the target audience and the feel and the tone of the channel can vary wildly from broadcaster to broadcaster. So I don't think it'd be kind of worth the paper it's written on.
No, you're kind of looking for a personality, aren't
Yes,
you, really?
exactly. It's an extension of that channel. And so the only way you can learn about it is if you watch that channel and see the vibe, the general feels that come from that, and try and emulate that as much as possible.
Yeah.
So, where do you see yourself going in the next 10 years?
I mean, you know, I'd like to have a lie-in. I mean, that'd be nice. A lie-in and a cup of tea for, you know, have an early retirement of just that. I to be brutally honest, I don't know. My wife's in politics, and so I think that she would appreciate the extra help I could give at home, if I'm being brutally honest. But for me, I haven't even countenanced that.
Fair enough. So
I would never have said that, because having looked at your amazing website, have you seen his website?
Yes.
It's
very, very nice.
Oh, it's fantastic.
Most of my achievements happened before children arrived. As soon as that happened, for some reason, they're the enemy of productivity. Everything just goes, disappears.
Fabulous. Well, we've run out of time. Believe it or not. Fascinating talking to you.
He's got a big grin on his face, thank God for that, he says.
So fantastic to talk to you. Thank you so much, Pete. That's
Thank you
been
for having me.
very, very interesting. A world that I know very, very little about. So it's been a real eye-opener for me.
So, if you have enjoyed listening to me and Anthony and Pete, please do leave a review on anywhere you think is suitable, but especially on subscribe to us, and tell people about us, and tell them how brilliant it's been. And we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Thank you very much,
Thank
Pete.
you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.